Scott, then you, then Dan, then, wait, no, it was Scott, then you, then back to Scott, then back to you, then Dan, then Derek. Thank you very much.
Thanks, by the way.
For what? But to correct
The
you,
Derek thing. Yeah, Seth, next time I'm single, you got another shot. Yep. Thanks, Derek. Yeah, I'm a little salty about that still.
hey, I'm sorry. I kind of owed it to Derek because the man did keep me from killing myself. I did, like, I did go suicidal. And I was on Meet Me one night, and I posted, I was like, I'm ready to die. Let's fucking do this shit. I'm ready to die. And Derek's like, I can be there in a half hour if you don't want to die and you want somebody to babysit your ass. Half hour later, Derek fucking showed up in the minivan.
The thing is, if you'd have told me that, I'd have probably done that.
I tried to call you.
Oh,
I tried to call you and Scott both.
was I working?
You were sleeping. I called you like 17 times, and I called Scott like 17 times, and nobody would answer, and I was to the point I was done. So I got on Meet Me and posted that I was done, and I was getting ready to do it, and fucking Derek got a hold of me, and Derek's like, I'll babysit you. I won't let you do it, you know. And Derek was trying to talk me out of it and shit, and, you know, saying, you know, you don't need to do it this way, and I vented to him about everything that happened July 15th, and he drove down to my house in the minivan, and I told him the only way I'd get in that van with him is if I was allowed to drive it, because I didn't trust him not to drive me somewhere and kill me. And sure enough, Derek got out of the driver's seat and jumped in the passenger seat, and I asked him where we were going, because I literally got to the end of 511, and I was like, so where are we going anyway? And he's like, Shreve. I was like, fuck. Why did you tell me this now? I should have turned back there if I'd have known I was going to Shreve. And I ended up turning the minivan around at the end of 511 and going back. And told me exactly where to go, and drove to his house. And let's put it this way, you know that gun safe he has upstairs? Yeah, every fucking utensil and possible thing I could kill myself with, he put in the gun safe, including the plastic forks and the spoons. He had to put literally everything and anything in the house that could kill me, that I could use to kill myself, in the fucking house. And I already had fucking cuts down my wrist and shit. And I was fucking like hardcore going at it, like trying to kill myself. And fucking, he just locked everything up in a gun safe. He locked the guns and the fucking ammo and the fucking everything. Because at first he didn't put the ammo in there, he just put the guns in there. And I tried to eat a bullet. He didn't like that too well. Did not like that too well at all. So he decided after I tried to eat a bullet and tried to cut myself with a butter knife that everything was going in the gun safe, including the plastic forks and the spoons. All the spoons. Even the spoons I couldn't fit in my mouth or hurt myself with went in the gun safe.
All I remember is me. Just because I wasn't allowed to say it.
No, you weren't allowed to say it because I flat out told you not to.
You can't say it. Yeah, then meat came around, and you finally asked me the one day, what's that mean? I was like,
Yeah, you told me you weren't going to tell me, and I was like, you need to tell me. You're like, if I tell you, I'm not going to be allowed to say it.
I remember the one text I sent you after you found out what it was. Meat.
I was just being an ass.
Oh, I was being an ass about it. Yeah, you told me I couldn't say it.
I know, I texted it back with you. I texted it back to you once. I was like, meep. Ah, I don't actually mean it as meep.
Yeah, then you sent me JK right after it, and I was sitting there, and it's like, you sent that, and I started smiling, and then it was, I seen that, and it's like, I threw my phone.
I know, because didn't it have like a crack in it after that?
I had to get a new phone after that.
You know what's sad is I never wanted to hear those words.
Yeah.
And then I met Joey, and that's
then-
all I wanted to hear.
Yeah.
And then, you know what sucks though? I dated all those guys, and I never wanted to hear those words. I went through strings of men, didn't even have sex with 90% of them. I went through strings of men just dating for a week or two, never even kissed half of them, never had sex with half of them. Hating to hear those words, and every time somebody would try to say it to me, I'd flip the fuck out on them. And then I got with Joey, and that's all I wanted to hear, because I ended up falling. And then, you know the worst part about that though, is not wanting to hear it for that long and then falling in love with somebody and wanting to hear it. The fact that he lied to me 6 months over it. He used to say it to me every day for 6 months. And then on the 17th, he screamed he never loved me. And it was just a lie. And that he just said it because he knew that's how I felt. You know, you go all your life not wanting to hear it, hating when guys say it, flipping the fuck out on anyone and everyone who said it, and half the time you'd flip the fuck out on your own friends for saying it. Like, girls. I'd flip the fuck out on girls I wasn't dating. I used to flip the fuck out on Allie Hole, fucking Delana. I used to flip the fuck out on all of them for saying it to me. Just as, like, a joke, as, like, a friend, like. And then you want so badly to hear it from someone, and then they slip up and say it to you, and you just fall apart because that's what you wanted to hear, and then you hear it for 6 months, and one day they tell you, oh, I never loved you. I just told it to you because I knew that's how you felt. Well, it just breaks your fucking heart. Because if I wanted to actually hear it, I'd have never flipped out on so many fucking guys and so many girls for saying it to me. I'd have never flipped the fuck out on them for it.
That was gonna be my next question. You wouldn't have flipped out on me. God damn. That was very sad.
Yeah, but that's like the thing though. Like, I never wanted to hear it. Like, that's not what I wanted at all. And then, you know, when I fell in love, all I wanted was to be loved back. And for 6 months, no matter how pissed Joey got at me, no matter how drunk he got and started saying, no matter how drunk he was saying mean shit to me, he'd say I love you, and I'd feel like he did, and he was just drunk, being an asshole because he was drunk. And then one day, to be in a fucking fight with him and hearing him say it to me just shattered my heart. Like, you fall for somebody and that's all you want to hear back, and then they lie to you for 6 months over it, and then one day you find out it's all a lie. And it was hard the past 3 weeks that we've been together since we split, because we've only been back together. We were only back together for 3 weeks before the shit that happened the other night. And it was hard to be around him, to be with him, knowing that I loved him, and it was all a lie. He never even said it. One night he was drunk and he's like, well, you know, I could start saying it again. I said, I don't want you to say it if you don't mean it. I never wanted you to say it if you don't mean it. You slipped up and said it, and I admitted that that's how I felt about you. You started saying it every day since we got back together in March, and I thought you really meant it. And that's why I kept saying it, is because I liked hearing you say it, because I thought you meant it. And then to find out it was all a lie, you know, I'd rather, when he said it in January for the first time, and then, because he said it the first time in January, he slipped up and said it, and I don't know why, because we weren't even talking about it. He slipped up and said it, and then he went to work that night, and I texted him while he was at work, because I had to pick him up in the morning. I texted him, and I asked him if he meant it, and he told me he didn't think he meant it. So I was like, okay, well, if you don't mean it, don't say it, you know. I'll admit, yeah, I do love you. That is how I feel, but if you don't say it, don't mean it. Well, we broke up the 30th of January. When we got back together in March, the day we got back together, he told me he loved me. He told me that. I didn't say I told him I still loved him, and he said he loved me. And then to lie from March all the way to the middle, almost the end of August, saying he loved me and tell me it was all a lie. Because he knew that's how I felt and he thought I'd like to hear it back. You should have never told me you love me if that's not how you fucking felt. And that's what hurt me the most is I spent 6 months believing he loved me. And it was all a lie. A lie that he didn't even have to tell me. A lie that wasn't necessary. Like, it wouldn't have made a difference if we'd have got back in March and he'd have said, well, I care about you, but I don't love you. But I do want to be with you. It would have made no difference if he'd have said that. But he didn't. He said he loved me and he wanted to be back with me. And then lied about it for 6 months. Well, why didn't you tell me when the day we got back together that you loved me? Why didn't you just say, I care about you and I want to be with you, but I don't love you? You know, he could have said that, but he didn't. He chose to say that he loved me and then lie about it for 6 months only to turn around and say it was a lie. I don't care if that's what I wanted to hear or not. You know, if you'd have come back in March and said, I want to be with you, I care about you, but I don't love you, or just said, I want to be with you and I care about you, instead of saying you love me, we could have had the past 6 months of him not lying to me. And I wouldn't be as heartbroken as I was in August when he dumped me. You know, it would not have hurt as bad because I wouldn't have been lied to for the past 6 months. And I wouldn't have ever believed that lie. And that's what hurts the most, is to love somebody and truly believe for the past 6 months, even though they say mean things to you when they're drunk and all that other shit. It would have been, you know, a lot easier on me to not sit there and believe, oh, he's just saying it because he's drunk, but he says he loves me and I know, and I believe he does. And then to find out, you know, you spent the past 6 months loving somebody, believing they love you because they told you that, and it's all a fucking lie. Like, it doesn't hurt near as bad. And that's what fucking has gotten under my skin the past 3 weeks we were together. Last 3 weeks since we got back together, it was, you know, he went from not saying it at all to we broke up, got back together in March, to saying it every fucking day. And he would just randomly say it. Like, I didn't even have to say it first. Like, he'd do something that pissed me off or got me upset or something, and he'd be like, I love you. And I'd be like, well, I love you too, but you're still an ass. And, you know, it's not like I brought it on or asked him to say it. I never once asked him to lie to me. I never once asked him to say it. I told him to tell me if he felt that way to say it. But, you know, if he didn't feel that way, he could have just got back. I still would have got back with him in March. Had he not told me he loved me, like, I still would have got back with him. And I could have gone the past 6.5 months without being lied to. And it wouldn't have hurt near as bad as what it does today, because I wouldn't have heard the words that I've been dying to hear my entire life from the person I love. From the person I love. I've been dying to love somebody who loves me back, is what I've always wanted. To love somebody that I love, and to be loved back by them. And I've always wanted to love somebody that loved me. And I can't pick and choose who I fall for. And I always kind of hoped someday he'd love me back, and that didn't happen. It didn't happen at all. But I guess the point is, you just wish you wouldn't have lied about it, you know. That's the thing that's been killing me since we got back together 3 weeks ago, was that I spent all this time being lied to and believing it. And that's what hurt. Is he purposely lied to me and made me believe it, only to destroy me with it, when he could have never done this we could have got back together in March, and he wouldn't have had to say I love you to get me to come back to him. He didn't have to say it. I still would have got back with him in March had he not said it. And we could have been living the past 6 months together, and I wouldn't be lied to. And he lied to me about it, and that's really what bugs me, is because ever since he said that he didn't love me and it was all a lie, I've just felt like absolute fucking shit for the past 3 weeks that we were together. Like, that just destroyed me. I took him back, yeah, but after he said that shit to me and got in my face and broke the damn chair and was screaming and shit, I still got back with him. But the past 3 weeks, it bugged me. Ever since that night, it has pretty much fucking bugged the shit out of me to be next to him. I want to be next to him. I want to be with him, but it's been bugging me so much because be lied to by the person you love for 6 months, believing they love you, and then one day it's all a fucking lie, and you don't even get to hear the words or anything like that. Like, you go 6 months hearing the words I love you from the person you love, and that's what you want. And then one day they say they never love you, and then they want you back 3 days later, and they never say I love you again, and they never even act like they care about you. And that's what eats me up about me and him, is I spent so much time believing he loved me, and it was just one big fucking lie to get what he wanted. You know, if he wanted to be back with me, he didn't have to tell me he loved me in March. He did not have to say it. I would have got back with him anyways. But for him to purposely lie about loving me when we got back together in March, and then lie about it for 6 months, and then one day decide he's pissed off and he's had enough and he's going to say he don't love me, and he never has, and then he wants me back 3 days later. And that's what fucking broke my heart, was, you know, I loved him, and I thought he loved me, and it was all a lie. But then 3 days later, he wants me back, and he swears up and down he wants to make things work. And he hasn't once tried. He still does the same shit he does every fucking day. He still acts like he doesn't fucking care. And at the end of the day, what am I to do? You know, I love him, but he can't even act like he cares about me. And, you know, he broke my heart and turned around 3 days later and said he wanted me back. And I got back with him, and he told me then, you know, we had shit to work on and we would work it out, and he would actually try. And past 3 weeks, he hasn't once tried. And I used to, he don't even know the past, let's see. We split, I broke up with him 2 days ago. From the night of the 3rd, all the way back to the night of, it was somewhere after the 19th, somewhere between August 19th, when we got back together, and the next week, somewhere between then and the 3rd, every night after he'd go to bed, I'd get depressed, and I'd get up, and after his stepdad would go to bed, or something like that, when nobody was in the living room, I'd go out in the living room and fucking cry. And I'd cry for like 3 or 4 hours and literally smoke half a pack of cigarettes. And then I'd eventually get to fall asleep for a couple hours before I either had to take him to work or I had to get up and do something. Or, you know, somebody came over and woke us up. And he don't know that he knows I got up. He didn't know I was crying. He didn't know. You know, it's been tearing me up ever since we got back together. It's tore me up every fucking night. He hasn't once tried to talk. He hasn't once tried to fucking act like he cares. Act like, you know, I matter at all. Hasn't once tried. But, you know, he can sit there and, you know, I don't understand how he can sit there and act like I can pretend everything's okay. When my heart was ripped out of my chest and shattered in a million pieces over him lying to me when he didn't even need to lie. And then, after finding out it was all a big lie, I'm supposed to get back with him and act like we're okay and we're fine. How am I supposed to do that? I don't understand how he can expect me to do that. Like, you lie to somebody who actually does give a fuck about you, who actually loves you, and fucking lets you get away with pretty much everything. You sit there and you lie to them for 6 months and you shatter their heart by telling them that you've been lying to them for 6 months and you don't give a damn about them. And then they're supposed to take you back 3 days later and spend, you know, however long before you decide to break up with them a third time, that everything's okay, everything's fine. No, you ripped my heart out of my fucking chest and you don't give a goddamn about it. You can't even try. You promised me when we got back together we'd try. You haven't once tried in 3 fucking weeks. You know, it's bad enough you fucking broke my heart right out of my fucking chest and I can't even fucking, you know, function. Last fucking 3 weeks, almost, I've been every night fucking crying for a couple hours while he sits there and he's sleeping, like he's in the bedroom fucking out cold, and I'm sitting at the fucking kitchen room table lighting one cigarette after another, crying my fucking eyes out. You know, hell, I'd get up and his stepdad would be drunk or just still awake. I'd go back to bed. Well, once the stepdad went to bed, I'd still be awake, and I'd go back up in the living room and start fucking crying.